an ambiguous environment in which businesses are faced today, means that the normal systems of operational transformation, TPM, TQM, TCM, activity-based costing, all these paths to business excellence are important. They are very, very important. But I believe the purpose of top management is to provide a helicopter solution. What does the helicopter solution mean? That you as a leader, on the one hand, are leading from the back, but you're also providing leadership on creative, strategic thinking. And that means that you're identifying in your company what is that company's big aha. That peg on which that company is going to become an extraordinary company. It could be a product company like Apple. It could be a cost-driven organization which do it just much cheaper than anybody else. And as in our case, when I started ramen boards with my dad, he was into a product called electrical insulating press board for transformers. If you look at this photograph, this is a transformer of Siemens in Nuremberg, impulse testing laboratory. You see two small figures next to the transformer? They are human beings. They are the quality testing engineers. So each transformer is the size of a two-story building. A single transformer typically costs $2 to $3 million. Our insulation is 40 to 50 lakhs for a transformer. It's nothing. But if the insulation fails, the transformer will blow, and the whole circuit will be, the whole grid will be affected. So you cannot enter this market on the basis of price. My competitors were three in the world: Siemens, Mitsubishi, ABB, and a company called Weidmann. They were the Rolls-Royce. Could I claim better product? The answer is no. But I discovered that all these big monopolies, by virtue of their size, were slow. So my aha, when I took over that company from my father, was speed, speed, speed. Where they would deliver in 6 weeks, my product promise was delivery in 72 hours. Where they took 4 weeks abroad, my delivery promise was 1 week. And where a customer would call me, all calls would be picked up on the third ring. Where they wanted a quotation would go in 4 hours. Whereas my competitors typically took days to respond. And why is that different? Because a transformer that sits on the shop floor is 80% material. And in 60% of the cases, I discovered that was waiting for electrical insulating material, which is a C-value item. Right? So on the strength of a delivery aha, we built this company to a very large level against my global competitors, and I got acquired by ABB in 2007 to take me out of the market. I then started, this is entirely from one credo: spoil the customer. So if I had to lead that company, it was only on this one direction. Of course, we had to have quality, we had to have productivity, we had to have other elements of the business in place. But what is that helicopter solution that would allow ramen boards to compete with global majors like Mitsubishi and ABB? It was spoiling the customer, which they could never do consistently. So the second is strategic leadership. I started in 2007 an R&D company called Raman Fiber Science. Sorry, it looks a bit hazy. But there my entire credo was develop materials that nobody has developed before. So I called it, my tagline was intelligent materials. But because the core of this company was innovation, I chose my logo very carefully. If you look at that logo, it is the human ear. So I'm listening to people all the time, and my people are listening to others. The second interpretation of that is it's a question mark. So we're asking questions of our customers, our markets, our neighbors, all the time. The third interpretation of it is it's a man in full stretch or a woman at full stretch, bending backwards to please our customers. The two balls in the front, we are juggling with multiple solutions to a given R&D problem of a customer. And last but not least, it's a musical note called the bass clef in Western music, and music, whether Indian or Western, requires discipline and creativity in blend. I chose this logo to represent our core values as an innovation-driven company in the area of material science. Knowing that in innovation and materials, my people are sometimes the problem, I decided that this time my people will be my core strengths. To get them to think innovatively and differently, we designed a boundaryless shop floor. So if you see the shop floor, my R&D is to the left. 3 meters to the right of the shop floor is my main factory. My R&D often were in the production. My production was often in the R&D. We were not a large company. We were a tight, small company, heavily innovation focused, which meant that R&D work had to be translated into the main machine in the quickest possible time. So time to market had to be very, very tight. And if you look at the slide on the left, those are my pilot machines. We had 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch machines, baby machines, and most of them were picked up from scrap of US companies. So the one on the left was picked up. DuPont had thrown it out in the scrapyard. I went, bought it for nothing. I had it completely refurbished in India, and it became one of my best R&D investments. So I travel the world. I basically look at Gujaris. I love going to the Gujari, particularly in Western companies. Treasures are just sitting unlocked there. So a lot of this stuff is low cost, but not jugaad, necessarily jugaad. It is very, very focused innovation. And we are specialists in this area of wet-laid nonwovens. So we set a target to, one, do R&D for others, develop solutions for others, and keep our minds and hearts open. But the main focus of this company was to develop a very unique battery separator for hybrid electric cars. We started that work in 2008, and we had a breakthrough in the laboratory in 2011. And basically, we got acquired in 2014 by a US major. So now I just write novels and do trekking. But one of the things that we learned in driving innovation and being a leader there is, I did not allow formal roles. Not that I am the CEO, you are the subordinate, you listen to what I say, all of that was broken. In a boundaryless floor, we also have boundary-free relationships. So in many R&D projects, I participated as a subordinate to my R&D head. So what he told me to do, he said, sir, we request you to do this, and you have to meet these deadlines, I will agree. The fun thing about that was, we were not hierarchically driven at all, right? So I spoke first about the need to have a bottom-up push as a leader. The second is the strategic thinking and the clarity that you will give the whole organization. The third is build the culture that your organization needs. So mine had to be very, very free and open, letting the breeze in from everywhere, but others may have a different cultural requirement. The purpose of the leader is to spot that and drive the culture, right? So we also emphasized that the company should focus on quadrant 4, the not urgent but very important things. Because all of us tend to focus mainly on both on quadrant 1 and we focus, of course, on quadrant 2. But in R&D, we need to be long-term focused, right? So developing that culture and the longer-term focus also took up a lot of my time. So we ran a whole lot of, this is one of about 40 technologies that this company developed, most of which we sold. And the one separator which we kind of developed and took to market, the entire company got acquired. So we worked on a whole array of technology. And interestingly, my R&D team of 12 people, 6 of them are SSLC PUC boys. They are not PhDs and MScs. They are from Udupi, Nanjangud, Chikra, Halli Daddi, Mysore. Their parents are tailors, bus conductors, KEB linesmen. But I go by the principle of Edison and Faraday, who were both unschooled. Faraday particularly. Faraday did not even go to school, but he worked as a bookbinder's assistant. And he was spotted there by Sir Humphrey Davy, the greatest scientist of his time. And Faraday then overtook Sir Humphrey Davy in his achievements. So I have found that India, rural India particularly, I'm from Mysore, my factory was in Nanjangud, my R&D team was in Nanjangud, amazing talent. great talent. It's like Srinivasa Ramanujan in a let's say, attenuated form, but they are there. It is up to us to spot them and to take them up, right? So I must say my team delivered extraordinary performance, and when the Americans came in 2014 to acquire me, they had very great difficulty in believing some of the things that we had done. So it was interesting. Last but not least, friends, I want to leave you with a thought. I mean, my guru in these matters is Kabir. And Kabir says, Nindak neda rakhiye, angan kuti bandhaye. Right? Keep your critic very close to you and build him a home in your own courtyard. Bina sabun pani bina, without soap and water, nirmal kare subai. He will keep you pure. Keeping this window open is crucial. We've often done plant visits to unconnected industries. My latest breakthrough in mid-2014 was from a biscuit factory. Nothing to do with making wet-laid nonwovens. But we had a tremendous breakthrough when we went there. It was a biscuit-making company. So keeping this window open is a culture. I'll give you one final beautiful story, and then I'll wind up. All of you have heard of Nirma, right? So what was the axis of differentiation when Karsanbhai Patel started Nirma? Product, cost, delivery. What was it? Cost. He was competing against Surf, and they had an internal clarity that Surf will also cut prices. So to be really competitive, you had to be some 40% or so cheaper than Surf. So you could drop the price those days by manually mixing detergent, and if you did not use power, you were free from excise duty those days. So one thing was the manually detergent making process. But the second thing was logistics. They had to cut down the cost of transporting detergent. So all his general manager, marketing, engineering, everybody got together and they were running this brainstorm for one day in Ahmedabad, trying to find out how to cut the cost. So they came up with all solutions, this, that, everything. They were not able to cut the cost below 10%. End of the day, dejected, exhausted, upset, because it looked like they may not be able to do it. So Karsanbhai says, I kind of switched off. I told my team, Baba, you all go home. You relax with your family. Let's think about it tomorrow. So he says, I was just sitting and I was also dejected, wondering what to do, when his first employee was one Jitubai, who was a sweeper. So he was cleaning the window and watering the garden and all that. So he said, Jitubai told him in Gujarati, Kemcho, how are you? So Jitubai says, Karsanbhai, see, I don't know, but fortunately all of you were talking in Gujarati, so I was also listening. My understanding, if I am not mistaken, is that you are trying to lower how to transport the detergent cheaper. So Karsanbhai said, yes, you are correct. That is our problem we were trying to debate. So Jitu said, see, sir, I am living in this slum, some few kilometers away, and every day I am coming by cycle. And I am crossing this factory called Syntex. So when I look at the Syntex, it is tanks those were the days when Syntex was exploding in demand. And everywhere the trucks are carrying Syntex tanks, but what are they transporting? Space, air. So Jitubai told Karsanbhai, why don't you put the detergent inside the Syntex tank? So Karsanbhai says, whatever little bit hair I had also stood straight up. I ran, jumped into my car, rushed to Syntex. Of course, who's the owner was a good friend of Karsanbhai. 5 minutes, they struck a deal. Right? And for Syntex, what is there? Even if he makes a little bit more, it's money for him. And this amazing breakthrough solution comes from an illiterate Anguta chap, Jitubai, who happened to be standing outside the window and the window happened to be open. So I would say our problem is our life is a traffic jam, right? Our minds are full set. So when I talk to youngsters, they are already in a stream of life. When I talk to plus 10th standard, they are worried about plus 2. I talk to plus 2, they are worried about college admission. I talk to college admission, they are saying, after college admission, they are worried about job. Other day I was speaking with Infosys, they are worried about marriage and career. I speak to the middle manager, they are already married, now son admission, sir, what to do, we are worried. Right? So this cycle is there. But for creativity, lateral thinking, leadership, and life's own journey, I want to stress to you that life is an open road. India, more than anywhere else, you have interesting fellow passengers. Right? Meet, talk, interact with fellow passengers, and to people who are always worried about how am I going to get married, even there you have solutions on the road. Right? And I meet a lot of parents, a lot of girls tell me, the lady employees tell me, sir, you are speaking freely. We have to manage both child and husband and career, hellish nuisance. I say, no, the road provides you answers even for that. So life is an open road. I'm a storyteller. I write books, 2 of which are displayed there. So please buy them if you can. But I have a lot of fun with life. I've run my companies. I hope you do too. And bring that vim and leadership back into your lives and styles. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, and children also, some children also there. I saw them coming in. It was a nice takeoff, Arun, about how to think innovatively. And I think what we are going to discuss now is a little bit of a different kind of, I don't know whether it is connected with leadership or not. Probably it is connected with technology. It is probably connected with the future. And we are going to see that that future is, after all, already here. That's what we are going to talk about. Well, all of you, you're all leaders in your companies, representing it. We all know that little idea, how it steams a big value of wealth creation. Value for the customers and wealth for yourself and your organizations. So actually what I'm going to talk about is about how that idea you need to do even better in a highly competitive world today, and how this new technology, which is going to probably play a little brother role now, the complementary role tomorrow, and it is going to lead day after. That's the kind of disruptions what 3D printing can bring. So let me take you to every idea has to be tested, isn't it? How good it is or bad. If you don't test it and place it in the market, somebody else will actually benefit from it. So idea today is a very systemic approach wherein people can have a funnel of ideas, they can filter through a set of criteria and take it forward, right? This is what we call it as stage gate technique, a systemic development of anything. When we say NPD, new product design process or development process, it could be a tangible product or a service. It could be anything, right? So here, design and testing, there is an inevitable test stage that is prototyping. What is prototype? Is first model. A model which is something you can say, this is my proof of my concept. Somebody should be willing to pay for it, right? And many cases, R&D produces an idea, marketing guys, the top management have to say, oh yes, it makes sense. Many times, in the phase of this product development, every stage, a prototype can play an important role. Like in planning, it doesn't play that important role, but in concept development. See, design is a highly creative process wherein you toy with ideas, right? In the ego states, you have to be a child. to develop something. So toy with it. Because child is shameless, it doesn't care about anything, it is not afraid of any failures, but it will create and it makes and breaks things and for its own joy. But I think the creation, design, innovation, invention, all these have a component of that childish approach to life wherein you're most creative, right? And as we move through system level, you have the most importantly, testing and refinement, you have 3 stars, application of prototypes are used. Why? Ideas are highly contagious. If I have an idea, you can always improve on it. And you have an idea, I can improve on it. That means if I have an idea, I put it in the market without properly testing, refining, somebody else will benefit from it. Your competitors, right? In India, copyright is right to copy. People will always copy. No matter, there is always circumventing of patents possible, right? So, what is the mantra for being competitive? That means you have to cook the ideas in your own R&Ds or maybe garages, but test it, test it, test it. Like they say, ask 5 times why. I'll say you test it many times, test it, test it, test and test it. Maybe more than 100 times. That's because you're going to every time when you test, you know what not to do, what to do. Okay, the decision making is very important. In a world where people are talking of agile and digital and all those things, this becomes very important to have an idea which is well cooked, well tested, and then you can put it in the market. So it means world over, people are testing their ideas before even bringing into the marketplace. You will have 10 different versions of your product idea before you can actually come out with version 1, version 2. So no matter who copies, you're always safe, right? So this is what is a business case for any prototyping, and people have been doing prototyping by various means. If I say by hand, you cross it, I have no cross, but I'm just, this is a prototype actually. This is also a prototype when we said like this, or I can use something else to say some other idea. These are all low fidelity prototypes. When you say high fidelity prototype, they have the look and feel of the real thing. Not only look and feel, but also it works as real. When you have an idea and you go to a venture capitalist and say, I want your funding, he says, okay, fine, tell me how it works. You cannot have a 2D drawing. You cannot have a 3D drawing. You have to make it work. Your chances of getting that into the market is much higher. Moving forward, see this world, people have ideas, and ideas had a grammar. Post-industrial revolution, it came out with a grammar. What to do, what not to do. Designs which are impossible to do. DFM, DFMA came. Today, I'm happy to say, those paradigms have been demolished thanks to 3D printing. You can print things like what you see here. This is an impossible product, what you see. If it is made, how do you have a core? How do you take out injection out of it? This mimics something in nature, like your human bone or the organic fibers, right? Only there you can see such things. Or a skeleton of some seaweed may look like this, So today, it is possible thanks to 3D printing technology, which is also called as additive manufacturing. Comparing this with conventional manufacturing is all about taking out pieces. We call it as subtractive, right? It is like chiseling from a stone. The new technology says, I am not going to take chips, I am going to add layer by layer. Okay? By that, it has less material going into it, no chips, so it is more energy efficient, more cleaner, and hence is a green technology, as we can see. And what is the beauty of this whole revolution? It is all about CAD to part directly. There is nothing in between, tu tu meme. Somebody in shop floor sees a blueprint, it looks as 88, and he produces a long rod of 88. Actually, a designer wanted 33. He says it is not fitting. Meaning there is no blaming game here. From designer's desk, directly it goes to the production, and designer has to take the blame because he made it, because mission prints it faithfully. There is no intermediary there to blame. Thanks to this guy, Chuck Hull, who actually started the revolution way back in 83. And I have been seeing this technology since 93, when I was with Tanishq in Hosur. And later on in my alma mater, IIC, I was running a mission. It's all about having actually, I will say 3D printing is a misnomer. There is no 3D printing at all. What I am telling. What we know is today is only 2D printing. We know very well XY, and if you add a Z to it, that becomes 3D printing. So people call it as. So it is a printing of 2D, which is done over and over again. Okay? And that's what makes 3D, So no matter whether we know 2D or 3D, already 4D is also spoken about. We'll come to that point. There are various technologies like this which are into play, all of them. So some of them can produce multiple material, soft and hard, transparent and opaque, and some can make metal. And in fact, it has come as a toy to children. You can have a CAD in the head. You give command to your hand, start doodler. It's like a doodler, like your mehendi pen. You can draw things, right? They stay. And again, from CAD to part and part to CAD is also possible. Ulta is also possible. So that's about 3D scanning. And what it has done in so-called time to market, the new product development cycle time has been zipped from 10 to 50%. You can, depending on the projects, you can actually see such a large benefit. What is the meaning? You can produce more in a physical year in terms of products. You can launch more, and so you can have your competitive advantage. Today, the world is moving almost everything you can do with 3D printing, be it medical, jewelry, FMCG packaging, lifestyle, architecture, aerospace, automotive, you name it, it is all there. It is only limited by your imagination. Today, in fact, there is a great challenge. Once upon a time, mold was a means to an end. Today, that mold is not required. You can directly print a product. Why you need? So few people said, can we print a mold also? We said, yes, it can be printed. So you can see how molds can also be printed. So metal molds are not required anymore. So of course, there are some conditions at play. It doesn't replace so-called tool room die molds, but it is moving somewhere in the direction, right? Today, even people thought we can build castles in air, but castles are getting really built by 3D printing. You can see it is a 3D printed castle. You can see the layer by layer characteristic feature which you can recognize in the photograph there. This is a sweet news to all of us. This is a chocolate printer. Now coming to how it can actually bring a lot of disruptions. Today, if I say my ring, it may be worth 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, I don't know. If I say I'm 3D printing it, okay, I'm 3D printing it, and it is going to cost 60,000. Will anyone willing to buy it? It is available for 3,000 maybe, But if I say it is 3D printed, so can you have a value addition like 60,000 per piece? No. 3D printing is a tool on the block. It should be very carefully used and deployed. It doesn't give you solution to every problem. It's very important. Demystifying. Trying to do, because if you have a water cap, what you have in front of you, and if I say you pay me 500 rupees for a cap, it is 3D printed. Nobody will give. But if I say it is going to save your life, can you pay 1 lakh? People don't mind. So there are two sectors which are major beneficiaries of 3D printing. One is medical domain, the other one is aerospace. Why? Medical domain, we are all human beings, we are unique people, right? Our bone or whatever organs we have, all are unique because they cannot, a father, mother, brother, no, matching can happen with blood, not with the dimensions. Anthropometric data are different. So when you want to have anything customized, anything customized cannot be manufactured. So it doesn't fall under that big manufacturing. It is custom made. It has to be crafted. And aircrafts are called as aircraft because every airplane is made like that. They're crafted. No two airplanes are same. Now there, the volumes are very less. Parts are highly complex. Okay? When you have complexity like that, how can you make a jig or a fixture which are all required for making many of, not one of? So that paints a great potential of the technology in these select areas. Of course, it can, if you talk of automotive, people are using, but it is highly price sensitive, right? Where they can use it very advantageously in product development. Moving forward, what it actually showed was different levels it is going to disrupt medical. At the end, you have the organ printing also, which is talked of, but it is a long way to go. Maybe 10 years from now, people can have organs. There are some ethical issues there. And these organs may not be used for directly implanting into or grafting into people, but to test the drugs. Drugs